right, here we go. It's going to be Cub Swanson, who defeated Daniel Pineda at a recent UFC. We get to chat with him for the next 10 seconds. What's going on, Cub Swanson?
I'll just living life, you know.
All right. Well, Goes has a series of questions. He's going to go first, and then I'm going to step in and I'm going to finish up some. We got this new way of doing things here on StreamYard, the broadcast software that we have. So go ahead, Goes. Take it away.
Now, Cub, I mean, listen, man. Great fight with Daniel Pineda. There were a lot of question marks, and I want to know if these question marks were kind of the same for you as they were with us. With the media, all we want to know is, has Cub recovered from that knee? Is he going to look the same as he did before? Those are questions that we have to ask ourselves, that the fans ask themselves. But are they questions that you ask yourself, or are all those answers already, is all those questions answered before you even get in?
Yeah, I think those questions were already answered. I had to ask myself that every day for pretty much an entire year. I'd say more like 10 months. By the time that I asked for a fight, I was completely confident. I just knew by the time I fought, I knew I wasn't 100% because I don't think you could really be 100%. I'd say I was 90, 95%. And I think it's going to still take me another 6 months to really get my leg the same size that it was from before. But there was nothing I couldn't do. I could do sprints, I could jump, I could do everything. But just the fatigue in my leg over time, that last little bit's going to take a little while to get to 100.
Are you still on a high from what happened? How long does that go for? And at what point can you turn the page?
I always like to turn the page pretty quickly. I like to, take it in. But when I've ever coached fighters and they do well in like a jiu-jitsu tournament or they win some little medal, after a day, it's like, okay, go find the back of the closet and throw that in there and don't look at it anymore. It's time to move on. You got bigger goals. So that's kind of the mindset I've always had. That this win meant a lot to me. Just to kind of put a stamp on that whole year recovery. But it's just a step in the direction of being the best version of myself.
When you think about it, I was thinking of different scenarios. And one is, I mean, we've seen it all the time. Fighters can go in and be out and get that victory quick. But I was thinking, in your case, was this almost the best case scenario, you getting more time in the cage, being tested in certain areas? Or would you have wanted to just come in there, piece them up real quick and get the hell out? Like, what scenario works best for Cub Swanson?
Well, I think I have something like 4 hours of octagon time. So I don't feel like I need to have a whole bunch. I just know myself, and I know that I'm the kind of guy that gets in there and I just get more comfortable as time goes. No pun intended. But yeah, so it really doesn't matter. I just needed to go in there and get comfortable in there and then let my hands go. I definitely didn't want to be getting kicked in the leg like that. He was a big dude and he was kicking my leg hard. He was testing it. And I knew I couldn't, take too many of those before I needed to do something.
Do you feel like going into the fight because of the layoff, can you still carry that momentum from the Kron Gracie fight, add it up with this fight, or with the time that expires, does it almost feel like you're on a one fight win streak? How does that work in your mind?
It kind of goes back and forth. You feel like you lost a little bit of momentum because you had this huge hurdle in the way. But at the same time, when you step in there, the last thing I remember was winning, not losing. And that was a huge thing. Going into the Kron fight, every time I could go, the last time I was in here, I felt this way. It was back to back to back to back losses. So that really wasn't a very comforting feeling. This time, I think the fact that it was completely different with no crowd and I hadn't fought in the Apex before, that just made it feel so like new and fresh and fresh start. That's kind of what it felt like.
When it comes to family, I think a lot of people tuned into the Swansons. That was a lot of fun. And all I could think of was, you're so lucky to have somebody that's been involved in mixed martial arts that kind of understands the game and what people go through. Because I was thinking, if that scenario was a little different, where you were with just Marianne or whoever, that's a made up person, people, that maybe wants to do other things, that doesn't understand that mindset of the fighter. Like when you talk to your friends and they talk about their spouses and all that, like, could you envision yourself in that kind of dynamic? Like, how important is what Kenda brings to the relationship and the way her mindset is being around the fight game for so long?
Well, it's just it's different. And the thing is every relationship's different. So I think for me and her, it's taken a little bit of time for us to really understand each other. And I think the best thing that she could do is just back off when I'm like really in the zone, and just really allow me time to think, because that's when I'm in my best, when I have time to myself. But yeah, I think it's a huge advantage for me to be with someone who knows the game so well. But I think it's always just understanding like how you work together. And I think for me and her, it's been, with having 3 toddlers, it's been, that's why we do the show, just to show people like we're just learning, we're trying to figure it out. Yeah, I feel blessed that I have a partner in Kenda, and we've been able to figure it out and make it work. And I just feel like we're getting better as together as a team. So yeah, I definitely feel grateful for that.
Hey, Cub, what feels better when a Monday practice is over, or when all 3 kids are asleep?
Definitely when all 3 kids are asleep. Sometimes I got to go in there and be the dad. And, hey, go to sleep. The twins, they sleep in the same room, so they remind me of me and my brothers every night, just clowning around for a couple hours and not going to bed. So yeah, that whole thing, trying to get them to bed is a tall task. Going into practice on a Monday is always the worst, but I actually do well on Mondays because I actually usually prepare on Sundays so that Monday I don't suck so bad. So I think I have that down a little bit better.
Going back to the fight, the kicks to the leg, how much in your mind was computing, oh, that hurt, just like any other kick that I've taken, in my career, versus, oh, that's where the injury was. Like how was your mind working out at one time in terms of computing the damage, but also probably giving you confidence that I'm 100%, I'm ready to go. It was just a kick.
Yeah, so I mean, one good thing about surgeries is you usually don't get all your feeling back right away. So I still don't think I have some of the nerves like in my calf. So that helped out a little bit. But the kicks were I was feeling it. Structurally, it was solid. So I wasn't too concerned with tearing it. It's just that all camp I had to ice my knee after training. It still would swell up a little bit. Like I said, I was beating with 4 months after surgery. I was beating my scores from the Crown fight on the bike, just being able to push my threshold. So my legs were strong. It's just a matter of the recovery it would take. So every workout all the way up into the fight, I would have to just ice my knee, get it to calm down so I could train again. So getting kicked was, just basically like doing 20 sessions in a row, just the workload. So, my mobility in my leg isn't great right now, but I had it checked out yesterday. It's fine. It's just swollen. So yeah, that sucked.
I wanted to go over your strategy I told you this in a text, and basically I was honest. I was texting Goes, and I thought I was texting Goes. I texted you, but once I had you, I just wanted to tell you what I felt that night, and that was you were so precise. Like it seemed like all 15 years plus experience as an MMA fighter, and the fact that you were dealing with a heavy hitter, heavy kicker. You man, it was perfect. It was surgical. I called it because you had to be precise, but you made it count. And then other things, Cub, that I noticed was a lot of times veterans who are in the game and they've been in the game for a while tend to sometimes lose that edge where they fire off like they did when they were younger and reckless. But you did it, and you did it at the right times because before he got going, you were throwing them hands and you were showing them that hand speed that you had. I mean, it was a thing of beauty. Have you had a chance to watch it a few times, maybe even watch it with the volume down and just appreciate yourself?
I was able to watch it a couple times that night. I made my wife watch it with me, but I was a little disappointed with how many times I kind of let him fire off on my leg before I started getting going. But once I started going, I was pretty happy. Um, the biggest thing was it was mental. I was trying to explain it. I've always had to kind of get myself in like a headspace, and hence the Killer Cub mind frame, which is like a kind of a dark place for me, of anger and hostility, and that's what I would always bring to the cage, and I just wasn't enjoying having to get there anymore. But when you're trying to have success and your career is on the line, you tend to go to the place that brought you the most success. And the times that I didn't get in that mind frame before, I got my butt kicked. So I've often struggled with that, of what kind of headspace I should be in. And for this fight, I was just thinking about when I go to the boxing gym and I've been sparring these these really good boxers, what am I doing beforehand? And it's like, I'm not really doing anything. I get my hands wrapped. I'm not hyping myself up. I'm just very relaxed. I'll hit the bag a couple times. I don't do much. And I'm just allowing my mind to, be planning of what I want to accomplish, and let that be the only thing on my mind. And so that was the mindset I wanted to have, going into this fight, was that same mentality, super relaxed, be pinpoint accurate, and just be smart. And, I had said I wanted to do that before for this fight, and I stuck with it. And I think it really worked out for me. I just felt so relaxed in there. And I knew that was the key to beating Pineda, because he's a pretty big dude. I knew I just needed to wow him with my speed. And I knew the shots that you don't see coming are the ones that are going to knock you out. So I knew if I was relaxed and sharp, then I would win this fight.
You've been one of the fighters that I believe has been able to really use traditional boxing and transition into MMA. But a lot of people will say there's boxing and then there's boxing for MMA, which I do believe. But there are a lot of traditional boxing methods and techniques that you can use that still work,
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I'll point to is your footwork, your head movement combined with the strike, and your balance and your positioning. I think that's something that a traditional boxer can do. You found a way to make that work in mixed martial arts. Can you talk a little bit about that boxing training and where you feel you're at in that progression?
Well, the crazy thing is that I think it's pretty hybrid. I'm switching stances. I'm doing a lot of things that make you think, subtle things too. It's crazy because when I'm sparring the pro boxers, I don't box them traditionally. If I did that, then I would put myself in the worst position. I'm not going to go in there and do exactly what they do, because that's what they see every day. That's how they know how to respond. So I go in there and kind of act like an MMA fighter. I do a lot of weird things to make them feel like it's not a boxing match. And then I basically do the same thing in reverse when I when I fight an MMA fighter in the octagon. I do more traditional boxing stuff, but then mix in my, unique MMA style to kind of throw them off. And I, it's just basic. It's just basic, smarts. Is you don't want to give the guy comfort, so you're going to do something that's a little unorthodox, a little strange, something that they really didn't prepare for, and it's just that basics that I've been doing for a long time. If I would have to say the biggest difference between MMA and boxing is the distance that we fight from, and once you understand that and learn how to work around it, that's the hardest thing to solve.
The scream that you gave at the end of the fight, a lot of people hear a scream, but those are actually words that we can't hear. There's a message behind that scream, and I wanted to know, could you put that scream into words? What was actually kind of maybe going through your head at that exact moment?
Uh,
You can curse too. Feel free.
I mean, I guess I would say like a fuck yeah, or a don't doubt me. I've said that before. It's funny. It usually comes when I'm fighting somebody and I'm the underdog, and I got a lot riding on it, and I pull it off, and that's just me. I got the knockout, and you don't get to fight all 3 rounds, so you just need to let it out. And obviously, I was extremely emotional afterwards. I just didn't even care. I just had so much going on. I was just letting it all out.
I think your fight showed just how important being the pressure fighter and the aggressive fighter without overreaching and without getting careless, how important it is, because you could just see, like, if you rewatch the fight with the volume down and you seem to pay more attention to the guys' faces and what their reads are. But again, going back to what I was saying, there were even some off balance strikes that you were throwing, but because of your hand speed, it was making him stutter in what he wanted to do. He was getting ready to do something, and then you would make him backpedal. You know what I mean? It was so important, and I feel like, again, we have a lot of big names like yourself and RDA and Jacare and Junior Dos Santos. A lot of people have been fighting, and they're getting older and older. And like I say, a lot of it can be reaction time, speed. But I think some of it can also be just the failure to be first, like DJ Penn used to say, But you were doing it, man. So whatever mindset you got in for that, that's going to be so key, because that and your speed, you can nullify a lot of what your opponent wants to do to you. I thought it was tremendous. I can't say enough about that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's this whole year off, what gave me like a huge opportunity to really like think about my game and what made me great at what I did, and kind of really dive back into that. I had said when I got injured that I wanted to start back over from the beginning, and just get back to where I was really good at certain things and what made me shine, and I really felt like we did that this camp, and I really believe that the little things that I did for so long were giving me an advantage. And at some point, I just kind of, when you're trying to progress, you always lose certain things. When you're trying to add something to your game, you may lose something else, and you're always hoping that something else isn't something so important. And it turned out that I was missing some important aspects in my game, and I knew I was going to bring those back this fight. And I just feel like I'm firing off on all cylinders right now.
How quick would you even like to fight again?
I would like to fight again real quick, but I did break my hand in the first round. I have a cast that I can take on and off, but the swelling went down, but it's still pretty ugly. When I dropped him in the first round and he was on all fours, I was trying to hit him, and my corner was like, he's hurt. And I was trying to finish him, and I hit the top of his head. And so I kind of like let him up, and that's when I started throwing those elbows at the end of the round. But so yeah, I got to let this heal. Hopefully everything goes well 8 weeks, and then I'll get right back to work. I'll probably start training again next week. Just trying to get, there's still work to be done. I got to get my legs strong still, and I got to keep working. At this age, I gotta keep my body in tune, and make sure I can keep doing this for a few more years.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're not keeping it in tune by riding your bike and doing the interview like last time.
Yeah, I'm barely riding the bike because my knee is a little bit swollen. So I did 20 minutes yesterday. I'll do 20 minutes today, but I was just getting them worked on and making sure I got the mobility back.
Rose and I were privately messaging when you were on the bike, and we're like, "Is he breathing hard? Let's make up 2 more questions just to see if he waves the white towel before we do." So I think we might have kept you an extra couple questions, but you showed no sign of tiring. I go, okay, we're not going to keep him on for 2 hours, But there was a lot of people in the comments section were like, "This guy's the G, man. He's not even breathing hard."
Yeah, I don't know why the bike I've been pretty good on. It's been something I've been able to shine on, and a bunch of the fighters that I work with, I try to make them beat my scores, and that's something that guys a lot younger than me are trying to beat me on and can't. So it's something I'm proud about. So yeah, the bike I can do that pretty well.
Last question. Prior to the fight, we had joked around about super fights, maybe 140, maybe 135, maybe Uriah. Did that catch any traction on your end? We did a recap out of it, and it didn't seem to be like any blowback, like this guy's crazy or nothing like that. But how about from your end? Did you hear anything about something, you testing those waters?
No, I actually haven't heard anything about it. Yeah, I put it out there just because, I know the fans want to see me in exciting fights. I know they're going to enjoy whatever fight I bring to the table. But people want to see big, 2 big names. So I'd love the opportunity to get somebody that they wouldn't have thought I'd fight in my career. So that's why I'd be open to doing the weight classes, the different weight classes. But we'll see. I'm just open for whatever. Just trying to get back into shape and try to have another great performance.
I gotta ask you something before we go, just because we were talking a little bit about boxing and just different angles and all that. I want to see if you can connect some dots for me. Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier 2. That's going to be very interesting, and I'm sure you can maybe play it out in your head the way both guys fight. They're so different now. How would you see that rematch going? Like, how would you break that one down?
Well, it's hard to bet against Conor. He hits hard. He's accurate. But I definitely think that it'll be a better fight than the first one. I know, I'm sure Dustin's replayed it in his head a million times. And I think he learned a lot from the first fight, just about not, getting in your own head before a fight. He's gotten technically better. I think he's looked tougher, beaten, top guys. So I just feel like he's a whole different fighter. Obviously, Conor's progressed quite a bit. He's had some big fights, but I definitely say Dustin improved more since then. So I think the later the fight goes, the longer the fight goes, the more that Dustin has a chance, a really good chance. But if it's a first round fight, then it definitely leans towards Conor. But I'm definitely going for Dustin. I think he's an awesome dude, a better human being, that's for sure. But I'm just hoping it's a great fight. The fans deserve it.
Last thing from me, you brought up the Raiders. It didn't work out. But do you want to be one of them first athletes they call? I don't know what tradition they have, but here the Golden Knights, they ring the siren, and in Seattle we see what they do up there. You want to be one of them first MMA fighters that represents for a Raiders game to kind of pump up that crowd when they come back?
100%. That'd be a dream, you know. Yeah, I've been a Raiders fan since I was born. So that would be an honor. It was cool to see some of the younger players tweeting during my fight, and getting some love out of it. So yeah, it's cool to be able to like dabble in different realms and have be appreciated by other sports. So seeing them hit me up, I had a couple of the LAFC guys, soccer team, hitting me up during the fight, and then a couple Raiders players. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
One day we'll be able to share with you, maybe offline, what's going on with obviously our show's at Mandalay Bay, so that's the closest hotel. It's kind of like the host hotel for the Raider Stadium. They all stay at the Delano. And man, when fans are back, the things that they have programmed for just that game day experience, you're gonna blow your mind, dude.
Well, I'm gonna have to come out,
Yeah.
come to a game, and then hang out with you guys the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this guy snuck in a couple more. Can I sneak in another one?
Shoot.
Who is the greatest featherweight ever? Starting with WBC through UFC, you've been a part of all of it, and I would imagine it might be down to Aldo, McGregor, Holloway, and Volkanovski. Those are the four champions I can think of.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll give you a quick rundown. Volkanovski, he's beaten Holloway twice. Holloway's beaten Aldo twice. Holloway has 3 title defenses. Volkanovski's only got 1 title defense. Aldo had 9 if you included 2 at the WEC and 7 in the UFC. And then McGregor won and can boast that he beat 2 of those 3 in Holloway and Aldo, but he never defended his title. So just a quick little rundown there.
I mean, I'd have to say Aldo just because of how long he was the champ. But Holloway, pretty much beat everybody without being the champ. So, I mean, I'd have to say it was a tie between Aldo and Holloway for me. Conor didn't stick around long enough. And Volkanovski's just a little too new. But, yeah, I think, Aldo's historic with the division. He stayed champ for a long time. And then Holloway's done so much in the division. Yeah, so I'd say it was, for me personally, a tie between them two.
There you go. All right. Cub, thanks so much, man, for your time. And I know you probably got dad duty for the next couple months until you have to take that next fight. I know how it works. When you're in camp, it's all about you, and now it's probably role reversed. So,
yeah,
holidays and all that stuff. And I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say I'm literally gonna go do some cryo on my hand, and then I gotta pick up a couple cars I got on for the kids on OfferUp. I was gonna buy them, those little tight cars that use your feet to move around.
Mm-hmm.
But then I just went on OfferUp trying to save money and found a couple for cheap. So I'm gonna go drive around and pick those up for the kids. So that's what I'll be doing.
Nice.
There you go. All right. Well, again, happy holidays. Thanks for your time. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
All right. See you, Cub.